Foothills Growth and Yield Association is involved in a number of different projects. The big one that we've been involved with for the last almost 12 years now is the Regenerated Lodgepole Pine Trial, where we're looking at the effects of site quality, density, and different silviculture treatments on the regeneration success of lodgepole pine. We're also involved in a mountain pine beetle project in cooperation with the Foothills Research Institute Mountain Pine Beetle Ecology Program. And why that's of interest is that we want to look at how stands are changing in their composition and structure after attack by mountain pine beetle, and also in developing a decision support tool to help our partners decide on what kind of treatments that they should be considering in a stands that have been attacked by mountain pine beetle. Well, the Regenerated Lodgepole Pine Trial is really interesting to companies because managing growth of lodgepole pine is a big part of what forest companies who are operating in the foothills do. It's one of the main species that is planted and reforested after harvest, so getting a better understanding of how it grows after harvesting is really important, and understanding how different variables affect its growth, like how density of planting and how different treatments like thinning and herbicide can affect its growth is important. And we're finding a lot of really interesting things with this trial. One of the things that wasn't really anticipated in the early days was that we're looking at the climate impact on lodgepole pine and how that's affecting mortality and survival in these plantations. Mountain pine beetle is relatively new in Alberta, so there's not really a lot of information about how stands are reacting after they're attacked by mountain pine beetle. So we are, as part of the work with the Mountain Pine Beetle Ecology Program, collecting information that will give us that data on how stands are responding over time. But what the decision support tool does is to take the information that we have currently about stands and take the best information, the best guesses basically that we can make at this time about how stands are going to respond. So it lets the companies have a tool that they can use to really assess, well, to aid their decisions in what they're going to do with stands after mountain pine beetle attack. And it's a little bit more structured, more information consolidated in one tool than just, making their best guess about what's the best thing to do with the stand. Well, I think that our program is really just getting to that point now that we're really starting to ask that question. What does all the information that we've gotten from the RLP, the Regenerated Lodgepole Pine Trial to date, mean for our partners? How can they take that information and what should they do with it to change their operational practices? So that's a big focus of what we're doing right now, is looking at the results to date and having a discussion about, now that we have this information about mortality in these stands, for example, what does that mean in terms of how silviculture practices should change, and how does it really impact on the ground activities? So we're really, it's a big focus of what we're doing this year. We've developed an online discussion group where we're having this dialogue between practitioners who are our company members, as well as experts from government and academia. And we're developing a discussion paper that's going to consolidate the wealth of knowledge that we have from our partners and our members. And as part of this, we're also going to be this fall having a field tour. We're going out to the field to look at some of this stuff that we've been finding in our field, and to have that discussion about, now that we have these results, what are we going to do to change our operational practices, and how can we improve? One of the focuses in the next 10 years will continue to be the Regenerated Lodgepole Pine Trial. It's getting to a really interesting point now that it's 12 years since we first started establishing these trials, which is getting very close to the age at which performance surveys happen in Alberta, and there really haven't been any trials in Alberta that have measured the same stands from the time that they were planted until the time that performance surveys occur. So that's something that's really unique, and we're expecting those results to be really interesting.